Hello everyone, I'm Prasad Kurche. I'm your host for the podcast Parallel Perspective. Today we have our honorable guest, Mr. Gaurav Kenkre. Hello sir. So Mr. Gaurav Kenkre is a recognized CA from Goa. He has been active for more than a decade, and we are here to do our podcast today on business viability, legal structures, and understanding the perspectives from a CA that how should we go ahead right from startup till the closure of the business. Mr. Gaurav, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Prasad, for having me and
Yeah.
on this very important topic, which I think everyone should listen to. All of my clients, all of my friends who are entrepreneurs, I
Yes.
always talk to them about all of this, and I was always wondering how do I communicate this to a larger audience. This is a perfect platform.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. I mean, it's our pleasure. We are with the motive to understand, to make this understand to all our audience that there is a perspective which needs to be provided for everyone. And we are thankful that you are on board. And we hope that we have many more podcasts going ahead with you. Today, I mean, I would suggest that we start on a lighter note, that is right from the basics. So should I begin with the questions?
Absolutely.
Yes. So the first question, any person between the age of 20 to 50, okay? So a 20-year-old is a guy who is just going to pass out from his college. A 30, 40 or 50 might be a guy like me who has already worked for 5 years, 10 years or 16 years into his, corporate life or into a company. And then they realize that they want to get into business. So how should these people start a business?
Okay. So when anyone thinks of getting into a business, I would take an analogy from, let us say, there is a sports tournament going on. There are multiple disciplines of sports. You have got table tennis, badminton, cricket, etc. How do you decide which sport to take part in?
Right,
You decide based on your own strengths and weaknesses.
right.
I am better at cricket, so maybe I may play cricket.
Yes,
If I don't know how to play badminton, I will definitely not venture into a badminton tournament.
right.
The same fundamentals and logics will apply for getting into business. First thing is know yourself,
Okay,
know your strengths and weaknesses. Are you good at selling, or are you good at execution, or is it a service sector which entices you, or maybe you're good at cooking or manufacturing or some other field. Try to figure out what are you good at, and secondly, what makes you happy. This is the broad fundamental which I pick up from the book Ikigai.
yeah,
Ikigai talks about the same
yes,
four philosophies.
yes,
If those four philosophies of what are you good at, what you like to do, what you can get paid for, and what the world needs. If you
yes,
can get the perfect center point of all these four questions for yourself, then you know that okay, this is my broad spectrum in which I should be operating.
yeah,
And from there on, you can actually proceed to select the actual business. So if I like something like cricket and sales, then maybe I should look at something in the sports side because it is my passion as well as I'm good at it.
right,
So it's going to really help me get up on that Monday morning.
yes,
That Monday morning, that kick to get up on Monday morning and go to your place is that thing which will help you burn the midnight oil and take your business to the next level.
yes,
That is the most fundamental part of starting a business.
yes.
Next is analyzing the environment in the business. So just because I like to do something and I'm good at it may not be the right time or the right location to jump into that business.
Right, right. I completely agree on this part.
because the timing of every business is crucial. Is the market ready to absorb one more entrant, or maybe there's nobody in this field, there's no demand, there's no awareness. The entire burden will be on you to right from educating the customer, creating a demand, to actually selling it. Do you want to get into that kind of business, or where the demand is ready, or just one more player plugging in?
Yeah, yeah.
Then location.
Yes.
For example, opening up a restaurant in the north belt of Goa, Kalangut Baga, is like you have to be crazy good to survive
Into that
too much
competition. Right, right.
So that's another thing. What's my location? If I open it up in a small village, will I have enough paying customers to actually thrive, or will I be just be able to survive? So
Yes.
location also counts.
Yes.
So, and these eventually are a summation of different factors like demand, supply, competition, margin. All these things need to be analyzed before I jump into the business.
Yes.
So I know about myself, I know about the environment, then I can decide, yes, I want to get into this business or not.
Yeah. So, I would sum it up. The first point that you said, and so there were two technical changes wherein, during the COVID, which I had. And first one was the autobiography of the yogi, and the second book is Ikigai. So, Ikigai, and you rightly said that you have to do a lot of self analysis. Ikigai really shows you the path, what you want to do, and then you have to do a self analysis whether it is correct or not, whether you can make money out of it, whether it will really generate value. And the second point is, even if you want to get into business, this is not about passion, motivation. It is more about whether the product is fit for the market. Yes, exactly. If you want to open a restaurant in North Goa, I mean, you have to be really good at cooking something different. Yeah. So this is, I mean, there's a very nice explanation. But starting a business, yes, knowing yourself. What about the finance part? So, okay, I mean, there we are, that how to start a business, have a self analysis. But again, as we were discussing, I had this perception that unless and until I make a hefty amount of 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 50 lakhs, I cannot start a business. 90% of the middle class, even today, when I discuss with people, there are many colleagues of mine whom I'm working, I see they are very passionate about business. But the first question I ask them is, why don't you start a business? The first answer that I get is, sir, paise nahi. So what do you do for paise nahi? I mean, how do we get fundings?
So before you reach the funding stage, first you need to analyze, do you really need funding, and how much do you need funding? How do you analyze that? For any business which you have selected, draw up a project cost. For example, now if I want to become a podcaster like you,
Yeah.
I'll have to figure out location,
Yes.
setup cost, maybe
Yes.
IT setup, maybe furniture, maybe some other things.
Yes.
This is my minimum setup cost. Let us say it is 5 lakhs rupees. I
Yes.
invest 5 lakhs to be a podcaster.
Podcaster. Yeah.
Do I have 5 lakhs with me? I may be having 2 lakhs. Then 2 lakhs are my funds. That's the owner's equity or owner's capital. The gap of 3 lakhs, you need to figure out how to fund it. This 3 could be 3 for a podcaster, maybe 30 lakhs for a manufacturing entity, maybe 10, 15 lakhs for a service entity. Depends on your scale and depends on how capital intensive is your business. Some businesses are very low capital intensive. Once you identify this, you need to figure out which is the easiest source. So, of course, friends and family is the most common answer. You can go to them and borrow some money. But let us say you are beyond your amounts are beyond that limit where a friend and family can support you. So, since we are in Goa, we are lucky to have a brilliant scheme called the Chief Minister's Rozgar Yojana, which is run by the EDC, the corporation of Goa. It's a government corporation.
Just sorry to interrupt. EDC is
Economic Development Corporation of Goa.
okay.
So it's the state finance corporation in Goa run by the government, and up to a project cost of 25 lakhs, they will give you a fully unsecured loan of 20 lakhs with interest rate, effective interest rate, which can come to 2 or 3% after adjusting all the rebates and everything. If you're a prompt repair and if you are eligible to take all the benefits, you can go down to as much as 2.5-3%. Worst case, it may be 6%, 7%, which is still the cheapest possible business loan, collateral free you can get.
Yeah.
That is the lowest. That is one of the lowest hanging fruits in Goa.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you talk about a national perspective, you have got the mudra loans.
Yeah. Up to 10 lakh rupees. Yes.
Beyond that, if your requirements are beyond 10 lakhs, what do you do? Then you have something called CGTMSE scheme, Central
Yes.
Government Guarantee.
Yes.
So they also every public sector bank provides loans under the CGTMSE scheme up to, if I'm not wrong, 2 crores of loan value
Yeah.
without any collateral.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was based on the sector also. If you are an SME, then you get up to 50 lakhs from 10 lakhs. So from 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs, one slab is there from 50 to 2 crore. So for SME, now they have raised the slab towards 2 crores. And for a medium scale, up to 5 crores. And for a large scale, it goes up to 50 crores. If I'm not wrong, I mean, you
I'm
can.
not aware of the full slabs, but since
I
you
guess
startups,
there is
2 crore
there is. I mean, yeah, we can we can really look into this. But yes,
once the window is open, people are free to check
yes.
exactly where they fit in.
I mean, so I'll also tell people, I mean, the audience. So when you say collateral, that means you do not have to keep anything.
No security required.
Yes.
So restriction. We look at two things. One is, do you have the repayment capacity? I give you 10 lakhs today. I expect that 10 lakhs back in 7 years along with interest.
Right.
What are your future cash flows looking like for the next 7
Yes.
7 years?
Yes.
If those are enough to repay, the first green tick is done.
Yes.
Second tick is basic tick is, God forbid, worst case scenario, your business doesn't take off. Your cash flows, which we had projected, don't turn up to be the same cash flows. But I, as a banker, I want my money back.
Right.
So then I will catch hold of the asset which you gave me when you took the loan. So they'll take something as security, that maybe land, maybe building. Sometimes if you take a vehicle loan, your car is the security. So if the vehicle loan goes bad, they'll take the car, sell it off, and recover their loans. So these schemes which we have just talked about, CMRY, CGTMSE, Mudra, they do not take any asset as collateral. There's one more, Stand Up India. Stand Up India is exclusively for women and SC/ST borrowers. Even they give, if I'm not wrong, up to 1 crore or possibly even 2 crores. So all these schemes give you collateral-free loan, and you can start your business. And if you have less capital, it's always advisable to start off slow, start off at a small scale, figure out your thing, and grow organically.
Right. Right. So this was the financing from the government sector.
Correct.
What about the finances from other part? I mean, let's say, so I can either have a bootstrap, I mean, get up as a, have my own money. I can either get money from my relatives, that too, if they are willing to give it as a gift, or as, I mean, not a gift, I mean, on a repayment loan or something. Third option is, as you said, all the finances from the government are. Then what are the other way?
Other option is to get a co-owner.
Okay.
Nothing stops you from finding someone who would like to invest in your idea.
Yeah.
If your idea is the,
I mean, whenever you say, sorry to interrupt you, but whenever we say a co-owner, na, I have met tremendous amount of business owners who started really well with co-owners. And the first advice that they give to the next generation or the people they are coming to, don't ever go into a partnership firm. But I'll come to this question later.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, please carry on. So you said you can get a co-owner.
Yeah, so if you get a co-owner, someone with, so I've seen several business entities where one partner is the brains, maybe he has got the expertise in that particular field, but he has no funds right now. And there'll be another partner who has got the funds. So both of them combine and both of them are happy, and both of them grow together.
Yeah.
As you said, there can be friction once the ambitions of one person maybe override the other person's positive growth also. That
Right.
is going to be a tricky part, but we'll address that later once I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
a specific point on that.
yeah.
But the financing option, that also is a very viable option.
So one is, I mean, you can say co-owner. There's a lot of, this, on the internet also, it is trending a lot. It is more about VCs and angel investors. But, VCs and angel investors, I feel it is for startups which have a requirement at a very higher volume or something like that. Is it that way, or any layman who has a very good concept can directly approach a angel investor and a VC?
So, approaching an angel investor or VC, the first challenge is the actual connection with them. How do you actually get connected? There's a famous theory of 7 degrees of separation, 6 degrees of separation. That
Yeah.
if you talk to 5, 6 people, eventually you'll get to them. So
Yes.
that is possible, but I would normally advise a startup, unless your startup is has reached a certain maturity level, don't go near VCs and angel investors.
Yeah.
Because if it is too early and if the idea is average and if it's too early, they may just back off and then you may not get a second chance to pitch to them.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if the idea is too good and you are too early, they'll try to get a lion's share of it because अरे तुम्हारे पास तो कुछ नहीं है ये लो पैसा and we want 30%, 40%, 50%, and you have diluted yourself too much too early to be invested in that idea for a long term.
Yeah.
So normally such startups who are looking at fundraising at some point of time, we advise them to get in touch with some kind of incubators. There are several incubators in Goa. You get incubated there. The startup team there will polish your idea, polish your understanding of the finance, of the market, the supply side, sales side. All these things will be brought up to a particular standard. And once they are at that standard, then you can probably go to the outside world, maybe VCs. Even I mentioned one more, so I forgot one more source. Um Goa has startup policy. The Goa government has the startup policy of Goa, where up to 10 lakhs of seed capital. This is not a loan.
The
This is
seed capital. Yeah.
Straight away, 10 lakhs, up to 10 lakhs can be given to a tech startup.
Wow.
So if the idea is good enough, you come to the government, you pitch it, and the government will give you up to 10 lakhs of seed capital.
But you said tech startup.
Yeah.
So why only specifically tech startup?
Because it is under the IT policy. It's under the Goa startup and IT policy. It is not under the industrial policy.
So moreover, if they want to promote a IT
Yeah,
based company. Okay.
that's their intent. It's the policy decision of the government. That
I'll tell you, even apart from the angel investors, VCs, several, I feel, I mean, this is my personal perspective. I mean, you can give your side, and I really want, because you're a decorated CA, you have been meeting with a lot of people, and I would just want to tell my audience that he's also on the board for the incubations and providing the startup funds to many startups. Can you just let me? I mean, can you just tell the audience?
So when, as I mentioned, that tech startups can avail of the seed capital. So it is they have to fill a form and they have to come before a screening committee who vets their business model from all aspects, maybe a technical aspect, from a marketing aspect, and from a finance aspect. So from the finance side, I have been on that committee several times where we have interviewed startups to figure out whether they are financially viable or not. Because if the government is going to give some money to someone, that idea should have legs to run in the long run.
Yeah.
If there is a patently good idea but the business model is flawed, then we may tell him that you have to tinker around with your business model and then come back to us.
Yeah.
That's when you may be actually sustainable. Right now, you're not at a sustainable stage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if it is your opinion, what I've seen is, and it also took me a good 17 years in my career to understand this, that business, 90% of the business, you have to put in your efforts for minimum 3 to 5 years, organize everything, organize your gross profit, organize your liquids, organize your finances, the product fit, as you rightly said, and then only you can recognize how scalable the business is. Really, it is worth it. And yeah, so now I have this very good question. What do you mean by business viability? when you say business viability, and this is very closely linked what I was saying just now. Can you just tell me?
So business viability is, I'll give you from an example. We had recently discussed this for one of our clients. They wanted to get into solar panel installation at houses.
Okay.
So we had a detailed discussion on them. I asked them that what is your approximate per installation cost? He said it is approximately 10 lakhs. So immediately he has closed his business to consumers who cannot afford to pay 10 lakhs upfront.
Right.
So his total addressable market is called TAM. Is only those people who can afford to pay 10 lakhs.
Right. Right.
Secondly, the physical side of a solar panel. Obviously, it was not it was not an industrial solar panel. It was a for houses, etc. So you need to have a house with that kind of roof. You cannot probably put it in societies or colonies because the flat owner doesn't own the roof per se.
Right.
The society will have to put it on their own.
Right.
So all flat owners are gone. You have only house owners who are eligible. So your time is slowly shrinking.
Yes. Yes.
You need to know your time. If you think I'm going to make 2 crores, 3 crores sale, but your entire time is maybe 50 crores, that means for a 2 crore sale, you need to have 4% of the market. 4% looks like a small amount, but it's huge in real terms.
Yeah.
4% of the market, if you have as a startup, it's unbelievable in the first 2-3 years.
Yes.
So, then there is someone who can afford 10 lakhs and someone who has a house of his own with that kind of a roof. Next is, I asked him, why should someone go for a solar panel? As a basic question. He said that once you get a solar panel, you can generate your own electricity, you'll have no electricity bills, and you'll recover the entire 10 lakhs in the next 5 years. I said, very good. If it is 5 years, this must have been based on some kind of modeling, that maybe he will use 3 ACs, 3 fans, 3 this, 3 that, whatever. He said, yes, X, and Y. He gave me the appliances that if you use these appliances for this many number of hours in a year, in 5 years you will absorb it. From there, you can make out the next part. If you have to use those many appliances for those many hours, you need to have those many people in the house.
Right.
A 2-person house will not be able to have the same viability as a 4-person house or a 6-person house.
Right.
So if your assumption is based on 4 people living in a house, the time again shrinks to only those who are 4 and above in a house.
No. So this is again from my experience, I'll tell you. What you said is completely right. The only thing that is considered on paper during the fundings or even with the banking procedure is assumptions.
Correct.
You cannot do assumptions. I mean, if you are into business, please do your research very properly. The previous podcast that we did, I mean, we had this even previously to do this podcast, not the previous podcast, but before doing this podcast, I spent good at all, I mean, more than 7 months doing my research. So I'm already heading a business.
Yes.
And I said that, okay, I want my passion to be run, but what is the time slot? What are my audience? Who are the people that are going to come on the podcast and what we are going to promote? Is it really valuable? I mean, so assumptions. So you know my colleague Sneha. I worked with her for 6 months. I mean, you must have got the invitation for. So we gave him the invitations 3-4 months back. We have been taking our time for research. She's excellent into research. And we did a lot of research. What are the topics? Who are the people? And what actually we need? So yes, I mean, you're bang on that point that assumptions have no place in business.
I would add that assumptions can be done based on data and research.
Yeah.
I cannot just, I have seen several cases where someone has told me, I want to set up, let us say, a restaurant, because I asked him why. It looks cool. I want to do this. Why? Because my friend has done it and he's doing very well.
Yeah.
So, do not know what all preparation he has done.
Yes.
What are his situations?
Yes.
What his resources? What are, maybe someone has a shop which he owned from, maybe he got from his father or whatever.
Yeah.
So for him to set up a shop is very easy as compared to you who have to take on rent something. So you cannot compare someone directly. You have to do your own study, own research, that what will it mean for me if I get into this business. So the right from a sales side, viability analysis like TAM, etc., to the sourcing side.
Yeah.
What where am I going to get my raw materials or my goods or my services from? What are the pricing pressures on them? If I'm getting them primarily from only one source and he's a big guy, can he pressurize me eventually? Once I build a brand here, can he pressurize me into higher prices and squeeze my margins? Can he enter directly? If I'm buying, let us say, from China, now buying from China, he has both the pros and cons. You probably get a cheaper product, but the supply chain, due to various reasons, all major corporations in the world are trying to hedge their China bet. They're looking at Vietnam, they're looking at India to hedge the China sourcing problem.
Yeah, yeah.
So that problem can occur to you also.
Yes.
All these factors need to be figured out. Then how much manpower do you need? How much admin cost do you have? So basically, you have to project your profit and loss account at least for 1 year. 1 year is bare minimum.
I
It
would.
is basically an example. Like I always try to tell my people who come to me that you see a swimming pool, you jump into it before checking if there's water in it or not,
Yeah.
and the depth of the water. इतना तो चेक करना चाहिए कि बाबा कितना आप कितने पानी में हो इवेंचुअली आफ्टर जंपिंग.
Yes.
So before jumping, you figure out, can I do all of this? Is the business viable? If it is after doing the 1 year projection of the profit and loss account, in the first year, most businesses will be in loss. Let us face it. You will need some time to scale up. So if there's a loss of 5 lakhs in the first year, that means you need to have the funding capacity of another 5 lakhs. Project cost का 5 lakh अलग है. This is another 5 lakhs which you need to fund for 1 year. Yeah. You need to have a 10 lakhs का working capital or 10 lakhs का capital in total. Do you have those resources to hold on till the time you reach break even or even go up? Yeah. And these projections need to be then tested for best case and worst case scenario. Rather, best case I would not even go into. Worst case, let us say you're projecting 100 units of sale in the first month. Your bad luck, it comes to 50. Yeah. Do you have the wherewithal to survive that one bad luck month or two bad luck months or even a bad luck year? Yes. To eventually come out and then reap the benefits of all the efforts you have put in. Yeah. So this business viability planning via a project cost and a means of finance and a profitability statement, at least 1 year, preferably 3-4 years minimum, is required before you get into the business. I guess even for schemes like CGT SME. Yes. Or getting fundings from SIDBI. So all these guys will ask for a 7-year projection. Yes, and they'll also, if at all you are an existing. So what I have seen is that if you are an existing business, if you have a very good profit and loss statement, you'll 100% get the funding. If you do not have a good profit and loss statement, please get in touch with your finance team. Please get in touch with your operations team. Please, if you need to, what do you say, train yourself, work on any part. Because when it comes to tax filing season, all businessmen say profit minimum दिखाना है, tax कम pay करना है. And then when they have to take a loan, they say, I want to have maximum profit because I want to get a loan. So that balancing will have to be done by you, and you have to convince yourself that if I have a healthier balance sheet, healthier profit and loss account, in the short run, I may have some pain. I may have to pay taxes. I may have to do compliance. May have to keep things in order. But in the long run, I am building a strong platform for myself to get any external person, maybe a bank, maybe the government as a seed capital, maybe some investor. Who knows, if your business really clicks, you may have to show your financials to some investor, and those financials have to be up to the mark. You cannot show kacha financials or where you've done some kind of adjustments, etc. Yeah. So that basic ethical principle has to be imbibed by every business. Okay, so this puts me to my next question. When you say ethical, right, what should be the legal structure? And when you say ethical, how do you put it in a perception of a person right from the age of 20 to 50? How would you put it? So legal structure wise, again, a legal structure, what I normally explain to people is, you want to, business is basically a journey. And when you are taking up a journey, you decide your mode of transportation first. So if you're alone, cycle or even a scooter will do. Right. If you have two people, you will need maybe a scooter or some kind of car. Yeah. If you have more than 7-8 people, you will require a minibus or something. Yes. That is the first, that number of people. So If you are just one person, proprietorship could work. If you have two different people, especially non-family people, like you and your friend, then you minimum require a partnership.
Yes.
In partnership, there are two flavors: normal partnership and a LLP. We'll come to the discussion as we move ahead. If you're looking at a more structured setup for multiple people, you may look at a private limited company. So, number of people is the first basic criteria. Second, again, when you buy a car or buy a vehicle, you're looking at safety.
Yes. Yes.
Cycle is probably the least safest.
Yes.
Then you have a scooter, then you have a car, and within cars you'll have NCAP rating and you
Yeah,
have got
yeah.
ABS and all those advanced
Yes,
features.
yes.
So proprietorship is the least safest.
Okay.
Right? From a perspective of if while running the business, if there is some, God forbid, some bad incident in the business, either with the supplier or with the customer, and you have intentionally or unintentionally caused them some loss, then they can file a civil suit against you. If they file a civil suit on a proprietorship, not only the business assets, they can go to your personal assets.
Okay. Okay.
Same applies in a partnership.
Okay.
If you're a regular partnership and if there is some business issue, people can sue you for your personal assets.
Oh.
This protection is offered to you by an LLP. An LLP, unless they prove it's a fraud, they may not be able to touch your personal assets.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I have seen that in recent 5 or 10 years, maximum people in India have registered their LLPs.
Correct. So LLP is a nice model where you get the protection of a private limited without the compliance burden of a private limited. After LLP, the next step is a private limited. There you have got slightly heavier compliance burden. But again, that has a role, and that role again I'll come back to the car example. Right now, I am two people. In the future, do you want to add one more person in the car? Are you going to pick up somebody on the way? I can't go with a two-seater. I'll have to get a three-seater or a four-seater, etc.
Okay.
So if on day one you are pretty clear that eventually I need an investor, then you cannot go for any of the models except for private limited.
Okay.
Investors will not come into LLPs, will not come into partnerships, and obviously not into proprietorships. So, an interesting anecdote here. In March 22, can you guess how many LLPs were formed in India?
I really don't have.
Very rough answer.
I mean, in terms of businesses, must be around 50,000 or something. 50,
You are
54.
too far ahead.
Because I did do a study of.
Answer. I'll give you an answer. Zero.
What are you saying?
Is it because there was nobody trying to start a business?
So after March 22,
No, in March 22, only in that month.
in that month,
I'll tell you why.
because of the taxations or something.
CA portal, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs portal, was undergoing a transition from V2 to V3,
Okay.
version 2 to version 3.
Okay.
There are a lot of technical hassles, forms are not getting filed, and LLPs could not be formed, or even private limit for that matter. Now, how is this relevant to what we are discussing? I know of a case. The business he had an LLP, the owner had an LLP, and he had interest from investors to invest into his company, into his business, but they said we can't invest in LLP, we need a private limited.
Yeah.
So he was desperately trying to either convert LLP to a private limited or form a private limited during that period.
And he was not able to do it.
And that funding got delayed. So just because on day one, maybe either he did not foresee it or he did not, he was not advised properly that you should go for a private limited. He stuck to a partnership or LLP. When the time came to raise the funding, he was stuck with compliance issues. So if you have the clarity in your mind that if I have to, my business is very scalable and I'm open to selling my stake to some third party or getting some third party in, you will need to look at a private limited.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and then again, last criteria for selecting a structure is taxation, which is the most tax efficient structure for me. And this, the answer depends on your actual structuring of it. Nowadays, even a new manufacturing private limited can get as low as 15% income tax rate, which is very low, but then your compliance is substantially higher.
But then that income tax rate must be dependent on the turnover that they are doing.
Not really. That was just to spur the manufacturing sector during COVID. The average rate for companies now is 22%.
Okay.
which is still lower than a partnership rate of 30%.
Oh,
But then in a partnership, you get remuneration. So it is a complex mathematical thing which probably you need to sit with a financial consultant and tell him that these are my numbers, projected numbers for next 7 years. Let us draw, assuming the taxation remains stable, let us draw where my tax benefits are and then figure out. But generally, I advise people don't base your business decisions purely on tax. Just because I'm saving 1 or 2 rupees here, don't be penny wise, pound foolish, and go into a structure which will otherwise harm you, like a civil suit problem or a investment problem. Don't get into that just because I'm saving some tax.
okay.
Tax is an ancillary part. It should not be the core driving thing of your business.
Yeah. Before going for the tax implication,
Yeah.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So a person can easily move from proprietorship to LLP, from LLP to private limited?
Okay. So it is converting
Your existing firm. So
yes,
I have an
converting
existing firm.
business can be slightly tricky. Starting a new one is fairly easy. But converting can be tricky because there are several, not only the governing act, so like the LLP Act or the Companies Act will have its own complex issues. You also have taxation issues to take care of. But if you start a fresh entity, like if you're a proprietorship and you want to now suddenly scale up to LLP, you can. It's probably easier to start an LLP than converting.
Yeah. So this is again perspective for the audience, and even I have went through this. So during the COVID or before getting into entrepreneurship, I had registered my proprietor firm. It is still there, and then I also got a similar suggestion from a business consultant that you should either get into LLP or you should register for a private limited. Yeah, but there are challenges. Are there any huge challenges, if at all? I mean, yeah, right. If you have an existing firm to be changed,
Conversion
that
will be a slight
that
challenge,
that is that will be
but
a
starting
challenge.
a new one is fairly easy as long as you have a proper documentation and you have a good professional to support you. If you try it on your own, definitely you will get lost because the compliances can be overwhelming sometimes. But if you have someone to guide you along to form, it should be fairly easy.
Yeah. So coming back to our point, what are the tax implications?
Yes, this is something which I've seen businesses often ignore at their own peril.
Yeah.
So this stage, in fact, should be the second stage.
Yeah.
So know yourself, know the business, know the environment. As soon as you have concretized your business, figure out the tax and the compliance and the legal side of these things. So, for example, let us say I have an idea which is surrounding cryptocurrency. Around cryptocurrency, I have an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
It can make crazy amounts of business. You need to first figure out, is it even legal in India or not?
Yes.
Right now there is a kind of RBI had banned it, but the Supreme Court said nothing doing. So it is kind of 50-50.
Still, I think, I mean, yeah, that is off the track. You gave the example, but cryptocurrency is still, I understand, there is no clear cut.
No clear cut this thing. So some banks will not help you if you want to transfer money to a crypto exchange. Some banks may help you. The Income Tax Act wants to tax crypto at the highest rate. So that if you think you're going to make X or let us say 1 lakh, you need to figure out उसमें से income tax कितना कटेगा straight away and GST कितना कटेगा. Those two will be your first costs.
Yeah.
Your net revenue will be only after that. And if your net revenue after that is not able to sustain your expenses, then your entire business model collapses. Another example is we had seen one case where IT client was making payments abroad to some service suppliers abroad. So when you pay people abroad for some services which they are rendering to you and you are based in India, it is deemed to be an import of services. On import of services, you yourself have to pay the GST on their behalf, which is 18%.
Oh.
You can claim the credit, but it is a cash flow issue because
yeah, I'm blocking my cash.
You pay it today, you can maybe use it after 1 or 2 or depending on how your output or your sales side is, but you need to pay it on that. So if you're in that kind of business, and if you before you start the business you figure out this is my tax implication on this, I'll have to arrange for that working capital at the minimum. It can be a cost also. Sometimes it can be a cost, depending on how you do it. And if you don't plan for this, it will definitely be a cost. Because if the government comes behind you on this, they'll not only take 18%, They will take interest and penalty, which may make it 25-30%.
Yes. I've been seeing this
Yeah.
recently. Recently the government has made a rule that the MSME should be paid within 45 days. The GST should be paid. I mean, the billing should be done, and the payment from a tier
45
one,
days. They need to
a
pay
tier one to a
45 days.
tier two vendor should be done within 45 days, so that they don't have any issues filling up the GST also. But still, during this phase, I saw many business owner. Similar, we also had these discussions with our finances. There is a lot of blur lines that this is very difficult for us, and I understand this is only because of the finance education. I mean, the financial education.
Financial literacy. So I often say this in schools. Unfortunately, we are taught so much in depth certain subjects which today are totally irrelevant.
Yes.
Who killed whom in which battle and which year and which place
Yeah.
is irrelevant. And the more important thing is today is how to even fill a paying slip in a bank.
Yeah. I think it's
How to deposit a check is a more relevant skill than knowing all these things.
right.
Due respect to the subjects, maybe we can touch upon them, but we should add some financial literacy because whether you're an employee or an employer, you need to have some financial literacy about how to handle money in the larger
I
sense.
would say that it will be a very good add-on, no matter you are an engineer. So I did my engineering. Engineering, I never had a subject related to finance. No matter you're a BSc science of bachelorate of science, you're a bachelorate of some other position. I mean, only the commerce side people will have a little bit of financial literacy, but the people of the remaining field will not have it. And the major problem that they face is once their income goes beyond the tax slab of 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs, we do not know how to fill up our IT returns, file the taxes. Similar with business owners, 90% of them they feel this as an headache. GST as an headache.
In fact, GST should be the least of the headaches because finally, who is paying GST?
The
consumer.
one who is buying it.
No, yeah, the
Yeah,
consumer.
yeah,
So I can pass on the entire GST burden to my consumer.
right,
So
right.
if I don't pass on the burden, if I charge a wrong rate, who is to blame? Is it the consumer? Is it me? It's me?
Yes.
So I'll give you one more example. I'm sure you know about Nimbu's Minute Maid.
Yeah, yeah,
Those things.
yeah.
That in GST there are two tariff headings. One is for
Services.
lemonade. Lemonade is 28% GST.
Okay.
And there is one more called fruit juice based drink. It is 12% GST.
Okay.
So now this Minute Maid is right now in Supreme Court to figure out whether I am lemonade or whether I am fruit juice. And the difference is 16%.
Yeah.
With interest and penalty.
Yes.
16% of your sales with interest and penalty for the last X number of years. If that happens to any average businessman here, does he even make 16% net profit margin?
No.
It's very rare to get a 16% net
I
profit
mean, in
margin
a
altogether.
FMCG product, I don't think anyone must be carrying a
If
16%.
you have a God forbid hit with a GST demand of 16% plus interest and penalty, it is basically time to shut shop.
Yeah. Yes.
If you can plan this on day zero, not even day one,
But
before you get into
I
the
mean,
business.
Minute Maid is a huge firm.
Yeah. But
They didn't realize it before pitching. I mean, getting into the market.
talk about online gaming. Is an online game.
Now they are into a lot
So
of
there is
pictures.
always a tussle between the department and businesses. They will take some obtuse view, you will take some extreme other view, and you will keep on battling out till it gets settled. So this is not completely unavoidable, but at least you can insulate yourself to the maximum level. So these are the basic things, precautions you need to take before you enter into business.
Again, when you said again, it comes to the basic clarity.
I think that is most of the clients who I talk to, they said we don't mind paying higher tax. We want clarity.
Clarity.
This is the
Right.
correct word they say. कि we want to know कि इतना भरना है.
Bus.
Then I will figure out how to recover that and how to make my business viable around that rate. But you give me clarity.
Yes.
In GST, since GST is a new law, just 7 years old, I compare it to like a 7-year-old baby, just still trying to figure out what the world is. So there will be some challenges for certain products, certain industries where that maturity level will come after a few years.
I'll tell you on the challenge part. So here challenge is even what business I am running. If at all your billing is not proper, your billing cycle, your service cycle, your deliverables, if they are not proper, no matter what business you do, you'll suffer with the taxations.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This is,
Yes.
you may be the best salesman, you may be the best manufacturer, but if your
Yes.
finances are not in order, if you
Yes.
don't know how to recover money, how to manage your cash flow,
Yes.
where my money is blocked, if you
Yes.
don't know these basic things, you will get into a
I
debt
mean,
trap or you will
I have been seeing this that yes, you can blame the government for saying that GST लगा है, ये लगा है, we are not able to pay it, but that is these are the laws. I mean, these are the regulations that are made.
so it's again that the same analogy of playing sports.
Yeah.
Rules are made. You know कि you cannot bowl underarm. Tomorrow after playing cricket, you can't say कि नहीं I would have bowled underarm तो मेरा अच्छा जाता or you cannot hit double hit the ball. Those rules are already known to you. You have to work your business around those rules.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, so we have come to a point wherein tax, then another legal structure.
Legal stuff, and even the legal, not even tax, but other laws, ancillary laws,
Hmm.
like for cryptocurrency. Maybe you might get a bright idea that I will dig up the earth and I'll get some minerals. You have mining regulation act for you. You cannot just go up and start digging. So you'll have to figure out what are the laws I have to comply with to do what I want to do. I want to set up a pharmacy.
Right.
Pharmacy, I'll have to go to FDA. Restaurant, I'll have to go to FSSAI.
Right.
All those things I need to know that if I'm doing this, I have to tick all these legal boxes, and there will be some costs involved either in ticking them or making myself ready that I'm able to tick those boxes.
So, the question is, let's say I want to get into pharmaceutical business. I want to get into, as you said, mining, or I want to get into any consumable product or food product. So, whom do I consult for the legal and the tax structure for this? The Cs?
So, industry specific knowledge, every CA or every financial consultant may not have. It's impossible for one person to know कि pharma के लिए आपको you require these five licenses. For this you will have this five licenses. The easiest is maybe visit the department and I want to start this business. Tell me what all the compliances are. That's the easiest one.
Right.
Second is if you have some friend, mentor, etc. in the same line of business, you can ask him क्या क्या है. Third, of course, maybe third could be the first rather. You could check online. In today's world, in this information overload, I would rather say you would get too many answers than less answers. This would not be the case 15, 20 years back. 15, 20 years back, you would have to do manual
thing,
first.
or not even manual. I mean, you'll need to, because at that moment, getting a CA, even passing and becoming a CA was a big challenge. Nowadays, people recognize it. Many people are trying to get it.
The passing percentage is 10%.
Yes.
The final exam. If I take the academic passing, it is be 1 or 2%.
But I always say this, and whenever I discuss with my friends, CAs are the doctors of the commercial world.
No, I say you need to have a doctor,
A CA,
lawyer, a CA,
yes,
with whom you can tell the entire truth.
yes, yes,
If you tell a doctor ki you hide the symptoms from a doctor, how can he treat you?
right, right,
You tell him that boss, these are my problems, then he can give you the correct medicine. And this applies in the financial field also. You need to tell that okay, this is my lacuna, I don't have this, I don't have that. Then we can advise you, okay, do these three, four things. Maybe you will be able to overcome those problems.
okay, okay, nice, nice. So, we have covered up, very good part of the business. Now when we come towards a crucial points, what do you have to say about contracts and agreements?
So you did your own research about yourself, about the business, about the tax environment, about the legal structure. Now it is time to put pen to paper. I have seen many people sign off on documents which are uh, ranging from ridiculous to absurd. So, do you order food in a restaurant without knowing what that menu item is and what is the rate and what is included in that food?
No.
Then how do we sign off on legal documents which bind me and some third party forever or for a long time without reading? So basic things like if I'm supposed to earn some income, it is a rental income. Very simple rent agreement. I have got a commercial property, and technically it's not. I wouldn't even call it a business, but I have a commercial property. I'm renting it out, and I'm charging 2 lakhs per month rent. And I put it in my rent agreement. I want 2 lakhs. After 10 months, my total rent is 20 lakhs.
Right.
20 lakhs is the limit to trigger a GST registration.
Right.
After that, every rent I have to pay 18%.
Yes.
Have you put this 18% GST clause in your rent agreement that 2 lakh plus 18% GST? Or
So the tenant has to pay it.
Yes, or have you said just 2 lakhs? If you have said 2 lakhs, the tenant is within his right to say, I will pay you total 2 lakhs.
That will be including GST.
Yes, then 18%.
So you have to pay including GST.
18%.
Okay.
The tax implication. Legal implication would be in the same rental agreement. What are the terms for me to evict a tenant? Are they objective in nature? That if I say that if I put that if you don't pay me within 5 days, I can evict you. That's a good clause. But if I say if you are late in payment, I can evict you. What is late?
Yeah.
Is 1 day late?
Yeah.
And if you sometimes you don't even have this clause, then what do you do?
Yes.
So your clauses have to figure out all the eventualities. So typically when you are getting into a contract, whether it is a partnership deed or a rent agreement or a supply contract, etc., both the parties are more than happy, willing, and very hunky dory, friendly. Chalo chalo karenge. And in that excitement and positive mindset, you forget to consider the worst case scenario.
Right. Right.
Let us say after 5 years we have a fallout or things don't go well. How do I exit?
Yeah.
How does he exit? So let us I'll come back to the point of co-ownership which you had brought up.
Right.
Let us say I'm a chef. I'm very good. I don't have the financial resources to put up a restaurant. Restaurant will cost at least 20-25 lakhs for the entire setup if you're a good restaurant. I have a friend who doesn't have any technical knowledge, but he has 25 lakhs. I pitched to him, Ada Tera, Ada Mera, 50-50. We'll set up a restaurant. Restaurant's name is Amigos, which is Portuguese for friends. Restaurant clicks amazingly well. Now the chef will think,
I'm running the
my
business.
hard work.
Yeah.
This brand name is mine.
Yes.
The finance guy will think, if I had not given him that money at that
ये
time,
तो खड़ा ही नहीं रहता. Yes.
both of them own that brand name. How does that chef come out of that partnership and start Amigos 2 in some other city?
Yeah, this has happened with many world brands wherein they've fought for their brand name. Yes.
So, can you insulate your brand name? Can you create in your partnership deed some kind of clause that we both own, but if I decide to split, I can take and I can pay your royalty?
Yes. Yes.
Can be structured in that way. We have to visualize the worst case scenario. He will always say, "Nahi, ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा. I'll come with you." But you should say no. Today we are on the same page. I hope that we are on the same page forever. But worst case scenario for both of our financial interest, we need to figure this out. In the same scenario, there will be a non-compete clause also. Non-compete clause means I cannot do the same business
in the same area or
same area, same
customers.
Same customers.
Yes.
Same or similar. Again, the wording is important. Similar business. Let us say Amigos restaurant will continue. That is a Goan cuisine restaurant. If I say similar business cannot be carried on, can I do a Punjabi restaurant next door? It can. It can.
He can do it, but yeah,
it is a,
if it is yes,
similar. Better to ring fence it. You say that within X kilometers I cannot. Uske bahar I am free. If even outside, if I want to do, I have to pay you some royalty, whatever it is. Figure that out on day one that this is my structure. So these clauses in your partnership deed are very important. Next is duties and responsibilities. If there are two people coming together, just to be very clear that I am only the finance partner. I am not going to do any sales, marketing, anything. Or note it down that he will also do sales, he will also help in this, etc. ABC, whatever. So these clauses also have to be there. Then a dispute resolution clause. Very often, when the partners are from two different states, they will fight on the point that where should the dispute be settled. Dispute will be settled in the courts of Calcutta. If you put this for a Goan entrepreneur, he would rather forget about a dispute, then fight it because he cannot go to the Calcutta court every now and then. And we know the judicial system in India is a long drawn process which has multiple hearings, multiple dates. So these are the small things which we have seen across many years where the drafting of the agreement is required to be done properly from a tax perspective and from a civil dispute perspective. Not even dispute, from a civil perspective. Just I would not put in a negative connotation. Just to ensure that all the people are benefiting properly. And coming back to the ethics part, we said ethics. It's always better to start off on a very ethical note. I have seen certain situations where one party is in a commanding position, so they put in certain clauses which are either misusable or blatantly meant to overpower and dominate the other party.
Right.
Such partnerships, today that fellow may be vulnerable and he is desperate to join with you. In the long run, these partnerships will
I've seen this with angel investors a lot.
these will not hold.
Yes.
These will break, and the other guy will find a way somehow to survive in spite of all the ring fencing which you do here.
So overall, what I can understand is the business evaluation and getting the right consultancy in terms of tax implication, legal structure, contract and agreement for any layman to a person who is opening a private limited company is very important.
You need to have the right guidance.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to a simple thing which we have taken for granted in the other field of life. If I have a toothache, do I go to an optometrist or do I go to an ophthalmologist?
No, no. I would go to a
You go to a
dentist.
specialist.
Yes.
Business will also require specialists to guide you.
Hmm.
You will require a lawyer to look at your legal document. You may require a CA to figure the tax and finance implications. You may require a business consultant to figure out your marketing and your sales. You may require a compliance expert to figure out the compliance. We need to get into that mindset where we give enough attention to our business as much as we give to our body. We go to the particular experts there and take their advice at the right time. We don't wait till we are in a bad position. That's how we need to approach the business part.
Went from awareness till this getting no complete consultation and awareness. But again, I'll just come to a second last point.
Yeah.
That is, what are the feasible option to raise fund? I mean, this is not in terms of a person who is opening LLP or a private limited, but tomorrow I want to start a business. What is the immediate feasible option?
As I mentioned, you have got government in at least in Goa, you have got the CMRY scheme from BDC. That is a very easy and uh, cheap and nil collateral way. That with that you can raise funds very easily. If you go to public sector banks, it might be slightly more difficult, but you can convince them to give you a mudra loan or a CGTMSE loan.
I guess Mudra and the loan that you have mentioned, what is the cycle time to get this?
Cycle time means
Cycle times means, so today if I apply, when can I get the
turnaround time.
turnaround time? Yeah. I'm sorry, when an engineer, that engineer comes around with the cycle time always. Yeah, the turnaround time.
Depends on your documentation, obviously, how your documentation is. But I would say from 1 week to 2 months out would be your max time frame where you can get either of these funding possibilities for you.
Okay, good. So our final question for this episode is, what do you think are the challenges of AI or the usefulness of AI and automation for the upcoming part in all this process for an entrepreneur, for a layman, or for an employee also? Do you feel there's,
I have mixed feelings about AI in general as it exists today. So if we talk about the common AI, which is most commonly referred to, like let us say ChatGPT or even Microsoft Bard or whatever. These are
why I'm asking you this is because you are already there on the board of this tech teams for providing them the yes, yeah, yeah.
right now these ChatGPT, all these are language prediction algorithms.
Right.
large language models which are just predicting language. They need not be the correct language, correct words. It is just trying to put a word which they think that software thinks what you need. So you need to use it with extreme caution. I'll give you an example. When I used it, and this has happened unfortunately in US also. Uh, this was very initial days. I wanted to test the capacity of this chat GPT. So I put a business problem and I told it this is a tax problem which I have. Find me relevant case laws for this. It gave me a beautiful citation, Mr. ABC versus so and so, Supreme Court, year, case number, everything, matter, everything was there. I asked it, please give me a source of this. It said you can go to so and so tax website, you'll get it. I went there and searched for it. There is no such case available. It made up that case because it was a language prediction tool.
Wow.
And on my LinkedIn page, I put this that please do not use Chat GPT
For facts and figures.
Yes. And
Wow.
unfortunately, within 4 5 months of that, a US lawyer he took some case laws from Chat GPT, went to court, and then the judge asked him,
Where are the references? He was not able to find it out.
fix it. So if you are looking for factual answers, there are certain different AIs. Like there is one AI, I think it's by an Indian
Yeah,
team, Perplexity.ai.
Perplexity, yes.
They give
They
you,
are growing very well.
yeah, so they give you answers, but again, the answers which Perplexity gives are fairly different from what ChatGPT gives. But Perplexity gives you a reference. So worst case scenario, I can at least figure out where is this data coming from. Again, the accuracy is not 100% or not as much as I expect, but it is much better than blindly relying on ChatGPT. ChatGPT could be used for something like drafting. So drafting,
Yes, drafting an email or yes.
draft me a partnership deed in these clauses. I want a good exit clause, I want this, I want that. It will draft you a general boilerplate thing on which you have to then apply your mind and tinker it. The basic structure will be given to you from our perspective. From a business perspective, certain tools are currently generating images. Yeah. Maybe a logo could come from that. Yeah. Maybe some creatives could come from that.
But specifically in terms of, so when I speak with you and with your expertise, I'm only seeing on part of legal, I'm only seeing on part of accounts, I'm only seeing on part of feasibility for the businesses in the taxation. So is there any challenge or is there any help with this?
From the the current AI models are not suitable to
They have to work on
advise
it.
you on these kind of matters.
Yes, yes.
They may be a persuasive information source, but it cannot be a conclusive source on which you can rely upon and take decisions.
Yeah, so better not take any references for it.
This week, client asked me, how do I pay so and so tax on the income tax portal? I told him, go here, go here. Go here. Oh, this is quite different from what Chat GPT told me.
Why did you go on ChatGPT?
It is fraught with all kinds of perils to rely on that for legal, finance, and as I said, medical also advice.
Yeah.
All these three are very practical oriented. You need to have a. I do not foresee ChatGPT replacing these three professions very easily because there's a lot of creative work and you have to understand a lot of intangible things which cannot be input into numbers and figures.
Exactly. So this is the point. Unless and until we have a AI tool, and basically AI tools are developed in this manner only. They are built upon all algorithms, and if these algorithms are backed by data and facts and figures, then maybe it can be referred. But there is another challenge, like all softwares have, it needs continuous updation.
Definitely.
And continuous updation means a lot of investment, a lot of server rooms, a lot of
In the future, I'm sure AI will be able to do some of the things which we said today are not possible. But as of today, the publicly available AI softwares are not enough to rely on a commercial and a financial side of things. For non-risky things like making creatives, drafting your vision statement, mission statement, or some blog post which can promote yourself, these things.
I won't even say blog post. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because I wrote many of my blogs on LinkedIn, only on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I mean, more than 3 or 4. I tried once with ChatGPT, and then even the algorithm of LinkedIn recognizes
Yes.
whether you have written it from ChatGPT.
Yes.
So the reach from that will be very less in comparison if something has come up with your experience and wisdom.
Correct.
So
There are tools to identify AI text, and there are tools which can unscramble the AI text into something which doesn't look like an AI text.
yes, yes.
So the, the limits
But
of
still,
technology.
the even the LinkedIn, Facebook, or these people, they are
No,
also they know,
they will definitely.
and you may not have that kind of reach. Yeah, initially, some initial buyers or initial comers can get the advantage out of it. But yes, as you rightly said, the challenge as of now cannot be seen. Please go to the right consultant in terms of business. Please go ethically. That is your suggestion, and that is my perspective also. And if I would like to brief this in a a packet or in a Pandora's box, for me it is only about trust. So if you want to build a trust, if you want to start a business, if you are already into a business, legal, taxations, then all the other implications that we have discussed will only build a trust, will build a brand for you, and that can only give you a sustainable business.
Sum up that there's a angel investor and thinker called Naval Ravikant from US.
Yes.
So he has said that always invest in longer term games.
Yeah.
Basically, build trust and compound that trust into something unimaginable.
Right.
Don't play short term games. Don't play zero sum games. Those will not sustain in the long run. If you build a good foundation, people will come to you that I want to do business with you.
Right.
And
Right.
then you can grow exponentially.
Yes.
Today, without taking any big startup names, we can see so many, especially in the edtech field or etc., which are failing because there was some trust deficit, there was some
I mean,
unethical
but
practices at some level.
so this is the specific, COVID period and the pro-COVID period. After the COVID period was completed, they have also set a wrong, statement or a forum wherein a youth today thinks that he can build any startup and get millions of fundings, which is very wrong. No angel investor, no VC, no bank official will give you a fund unless and until it is a viable business, unless and until it is a sustainable business, and unless and until it is a business with an X factor which no one has done, then it is okay. But if it is a conventional business, you have to go through this process. It is more about sustainability.
Conventional business, if you bring in something that I can execute this better than others.
Yeah.
In fact, it is same in the startup world often that it's not the idea, it's the execution.
Execution, majorly the execution.
There can be n number of brilliant ideas, but people who cannot deliver.
Yeah.
If you can convince someone, I can execute this idea better than them, you can be the market leader.
Right, right.
So, there's nothing that stops you from just doing something better, which other people are already doing.
Yes, yes. So, guys, this was a very nice episode with Mr. Gaurav Kenkre. I hope you have liked this. I'm sure that you are going to have many questions upon starting a business, running a business, taking it to the next level. You can please comment and put your questions, and I'll be happy to call Mr. Gaurav again for this podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Yes. Thank you.